What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast, Create Your Career. This is Contemplation with Kristof, number 123, episode number 289. That's 289 episodes. There's 2 segments within the podcast. Been doing that for probably since the 50-somethingth guest, actually the 40-somethingth guest. And what that means is I have the conversations, and that is when I interview a guest, and that is just directed towards me figuring out more about their life. And career transition is one of the main topics that I like to talk about, because I want to encourage through the example of which they have set or are setting or which they desire to set that you can do it too. Essentially, if you're in the military, I cater to you a lot because I'm former Navy. And if you are a civilian and you've never been in the military, there are still a lot of career transitionings happening. So regardless of where you're transitioning in your life, that's something I want to help you with. And all of the guests are examples of that. I'm asking them how they did it. What are behaviors that led to their success? How can we ensure that we don't sell ourselves short? And then the second segment is these ones, the contemplations. They're just me. I'm taking things maybe I found extra interesting within the conversations with the guest, or something that I learned throughout the week from one of the listeners, you all, or just in my personal life that I want to share with you that is all encompassing of all of the things that we talk about, typically on my Instagram page at Kristof Lewis, which you can head over there and follow me there for a lot more engagement. So thanks so much for being here. That's a quick synopsis of the podcast. You can find it on all podcast things, Apple Podcast, iTunes, where you can head over there and rate. You can head over to YouTube and subscribe. Still trying to build that up perpetually, and I always appreciate the help there. As I said, you can find me on Instagram at Kristof Lewis, and this week's conversation was my 166th guest with Mr. Austin Alexander. He is currently active duty Navy. He is getting out, I believe, October or November later this year, and he is going to be YouTubing and trading stocks. And I think that's so cool, because who the hell does that really? Like, who can really make a living off of the former, right? YouTubing. And I would encourage you to head over to Austin's YouTube channel and his Instagram page and check out what he's doing. It's really cool, and it's just awesome to see somebody doing what they want despite what other people say they can or cannot do. Because when I was in the military, people were saying that I shouldn't get out. I was a college dropout, and you need to go back to college. You need to do this. You need to do that. It was you need to do this. Now, I don't need to do any of that. And you listening right now, you don't need to do anything of what anybody else is telling you what they think you should do. Do what you want, how you want to do it, and just be smart about it. Do your due diligence and make the best decisions for what is your life, not anybody else's life. So we shared a little bit more about Austin's story and his life in that episode. I encourage you to check it out. And today we're going to talk about disagreement is healthy. So without further ado, let's get into it. You know, we're living in a crazy world. Well, we had an epidemic, then we had a pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. It's been about 4 months. A lot of crazy things are happening. And then here in the States, there's a lot of other tension going on. There's a lot of things going on. And I'm not here to say whether it's right or whether it's wrong, because a lot of it is subjective. A lot of it people would like to believe that it is objective, it is rooted in fact, and a lot of times it's hard to tell. But what I can tell you, without trying to be right or without trying to be wrong, that I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that I know that disagreement is healthy. We just have to go about executing it in a healthy manner, in a respectful way. There are a plethora of topics going on right now in the world and in the country, specifically here in the United States, and it's a lot of disagreement. It's a lot of this or that, zero-sum games, left versus right, and as much as I disagree, I don't get too political, but I will say I completely disagree with the polarity that I see within the country and furthermore within the world. I am not afraid to say that. I think it's I think it's sad to a certain point to see that the disagreement, you could say that is zero sum, you either agree or disagree, but I don't think it's actually black and white like that. What I think, and I always say that if you listen to more of these episodes, then I don't agree with things that are black and white, ones and zeros, off and on. I do not believe in that. There are many, many shades of this. There are many shades of agreement and disagreement. Just because you say you're on the right doesn't mean you can't listen and subscribe to anything on the left, and vice versa, or whatever you believe in. It doesn't matter what the topic is. Conversations that entail disagreement are healthy, perhaps even healthier than one that is composed of agreement, because there is more potential for learning and growth. So think about it this way. Go into these situations, and it's hard. We're emotionally charged, and a lot of these things, that's totally understandable. But go into them with not, I just want my voice to be heard, but learn. Because maybe, just maybe, if you go into it listening and with a mind that is open to learning about the opposing or disagreeing view, then maybe you can learn why they disagree, and you can at least in turn better articulate why you feel the way you do. But spend a little bit more time listening, spend a little bit more time learning, and spend a little bit more time subscribing to the notion that disagreement is indeed healthy. Protesting is healthy. All these things are healthy. I don't believe in all the rioting and the violence and the destruction, but that's not what this is about. This is about understanding that all of these things are okay. Disagreement is completely okay. And now I always encourage people to disagree with me. And it's kind of hard. This podcast is one-way media right now, but I would suggest and I would recommend that you contact me on one of the many ways that I said on here, either on my Instagram or my website. Send me an email or something like that, and I'll get back to you eventually. But I want to know, okay, you disagree, but let's do it in a healthy way. What do you disagree with? Do you think there should be polarity? Do you think that you can only agree with one side and not the other, and take a little bit there from there? And you know what? On top of that, I think a lot of people are afraid. Okay, say let's do United States politics. Say somebody is a Republican and they actually, in their heart, believe with some things that Democrats are saying. They are terrified, and this goes vice versa. They are terrified for speaking out loud that they agree with some of those things, because they're going to be completely ostracized by the party that they subscribe to, which could not be more unhealthy. So let's us holistically understand, all of us, everybody, understand that it's okay. It's totally okay to disagree with some of the things that even your people, your party, your whomever subscribes to. Let's be a little bit more understanding of each other, but let's do it in a healthy way. So it's time for a recap. Disagreement is healthy. Conversation that entails disagreement may be actually a little bit healthier than conversation full of agreement, because that's not going to push the barriers of growth within ourselves and our community and our country, and quite frankly, the entire world. So what I say and what I recommend to you is to go out into the world and do not be afraid to be the voice of disagreement, but do it in a healthy way. Be a leader in your family, in your community, in your country, in the world, and do not be afraid to say what you mean, and do not be afraid to say what you believe in, even if it happens to be on some made-up spectrum. It's okay to pick and choose. Do your due diligence on all of it and make up your own opinion based on the facts. All right, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can find me on Instagram at Kristof Lewis. Head over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and rate 5 stars and tell me what you like. And honestly, like I said in the beginning, I know this is one-way media right now. You might be screaming at your headphones, this idiot, or wow, I really agree with that. But reach out to me. I always like to challenge people, so I challenge you. If you do actually disagree, take a couple minutes out of your day, reach out to me, and let's have that healthy conversation, because we can learn from each other, and I want to learn from you. That's part of why I've been doing the podcast for 2.5 years. So thanks for listening. Please don't only listen, you have to apply. You can listen to all the best advice, the best podcasts, read all of the awesome books that we've talked about over the last couple of years. But if you don't apply it, it doesn't mean anything. So it's Friday. Have the best Friday ever. Have a great weekend. Go out there, disagree with everybody, but do it in a healthy and respectful manner. Love your family, love your friends, and have a good day.